that is not dead which can eternal lie, and with strange eons even death may die, is apparently not the answer your partner is looking for when they ask what you think of their performance in the bedroom. But on the other hand, it does set the tone for FFG's Arkham Horror the card game quite nicely. Fair warning, there won't be any story spoilers in the video, however, due to the format of the review, there will likely be some slight spoilers in terms of the cards you might see appear in the game. I will also discuss some of the mechanisms that appear as the campaign progresses, so if you want to go into this completely blind, it may be best to come back to this review after you've had an initial playthrough. If you haven't heard about it before, Arkham Horror LCG is the big cash cow in FFG's portfolio, providing a healthy and consistent inflow of income to the company with a very steady stream of new expansions. This may sound like a very cynical view on the subject, but I feel like the very first thing you need to be aware of with Arkham Horror is that you are buying into a model that is designed specifically to keep you spending on the game for the long term. As for the actual game, in Arkham Horror, players take on the role of investigators, whose actions, abilities and gear are represented by a deck of cards, and over the course of a 3-scenario narrative campaign, will seek to unravel the secrets of Arkham and, with a lot of luck, maybe even stop some ancient evil from rising up to take over the world. In gameplay terms, skill checks are definitely the name of the game here. As each scenario progresses, you will have to gather clues and defeat enemies, all of which is done by comparing the appropriate skill number on your character against that on the location or monster, and if your number is bigger or equal, congratulations, you passed. And if it's not, well, don't worry, that's what your deck is for. Need more strength to bash a ghoul's kneecaps in, equip a baseball bat. Need to be a bit better at investigating. Lucky you brought that flashlight. Taking too much damage and need a meat shield? Just give your BFF Beat Cop a call, he'll happily lay down his life for you. Decided, fuck it all, this place should just burn down. Dynamite. Kaboom! Of course, this wouldn't be a real Arkham series game if you could just power yourself up and bulldoze through a scenario. The game has to be able to fight back somehow, and that's where the bag of fuckery comes in. You see, every time you need to do a skill check, on top of comparing your skill stats against the requirements, you will also have to draw a modifier token from the bag, which can swing your results either way with either positive or, much more likely, negative modifiers. The natural conclusion here then is to just over-prepare. If you know that the largest negative modifier is -2, just make sure your skill is always at least 2 points higher than needed. Sound logic, if it weren't for the auto-fail token. There's only one in the bag, but I swear you will draw the little bastard every single time there's a crucial test, almost as if an actual ancient evil is interfering in your game. Oh, and the game's not done messing with you either. No, not by a long shot. Each scenario also comes with its own encounter cards representing various monsters and terrifying events you run into during your adventure that are bound to screw with whatever brilliant plan you've concocted and halt your progress in stopping that evil. All these elements coalesce to create an experience that is absolutely enthralling, that constantly keeps you on the edge of your seat, holding your breath each time a new encounter card is revealed or a token is pulled out of the bag, and one that absolutely necessitates cooperation with other players, as you discuss the best way to tackle everything you have to deal with, defeat or distract monsters, and collect enough clues to progress the scenario. At the same time, it's an experience that can be an absolute crapshoot where your success can and will come down to luck. Regardless of how well prepared you are, it is not entirely uncommon to spend your whole turn trying to evade or kill a monster or collect a clue you thought you'd get on your first action, simply because the bag refused to play along, which can not only halt your progress but take you out of the experience a bit, revealing the mechanical core behind this otherwise richly thematic game. Now, a narrative game like this lives and dies on the strength of its writing, so how's the story in Arkham Horror LCG? Well, it's there. The story is honestly absolutely nothing to write home about, merely serviceable enough to keep you plodding along on your quest, battling monsters and investigating the mystery. It is also very clear that it is not your story, your characters are merely playing supporting roles in someone else's play, with all the main narrative beats being a result of someone else's actions. Although you do get an opportunity towards the end to flip the script, so to say, which I really appreciated. But the real star of the show, at least in terms of narrative, is the emergent storytelling you get as you play through each scenario. I'm unlikely to remember many of the story beats from the campaign, but the moment when a little girl unloaded every bullet in her tiny derringer to kill a giant ghoul, or evaded a brutal enemy by throwing her companion cat at their face, yeah, those are gonna stick with me and keep me coming back for more. The biggest issue, and the main reason why I hesitate to recommend Arkham Horror: the card game: revised edition, is the value proposition. And look, before you say that of course the value is kinda crap in this box, you need at least one other campaign for the game to really shine, this game sells at somewhere around 50 to 60 pounds and is more expensive than something like Earth, Wingspan, Dune Imperium, Lost Ruins of Arnak, or even Ark Nova. So I don't think it's asking for too much to expect this to be a package that can stand on its own without me having to spend another £100 to make it a decent experience. The main fault for me lies with the campaign, as the scenarios, for the most part, failed to impress. I found the first scenario to just be a bit boring and forgettable, and though it gets a bit of a pass since it has to introduce the entire game system to you, I honestly wasn't sure I wanted to continue with Arkham after finishing it. I am very happy that I did though, as Scenario 2 was the absolute highlight of the campaign, showing a lot more of what you can do with the design, crafting a more interesting narrative, adding some variety in how you can resolve some of the story conflicts, and also having an absolutely brilliant reveal as you progress throughout the story. I was riding such a high after finishing that part of the campaign, and I absolutely could not wait until the next weekend when we'd finally see how it all wraps up. Unfortunately, Scenario 3 was a major disappointment. For starters, there's an absolutely crazy difficulty spike here. After we inevitably lost the game, we sat and discussed what we could have done differently, and honestly, other than getting much luckier with the tokens drawn from the bag, we couldn't really come up with much that could have helped us. It also doesn't really do much in terms of interesting gameplay elements. Scenario 2 shined, and you'd think they'd save the best for last, but all 3 really does is tell you to reshuffle the discard into the encounter deck and draw until you've revealed the monster. After the high of the previous chapter, this really got the hype to crash down. And the thing is, it has been known for years, back from the original set, that the Night of the Zealot campaign is lacking, and if you ask me, a revised edition seems like the perfect opportunity to flesh this out, maybe revise the scenarios or even add another 2 chapters before the last one. You know, something to really add value for the extra money you're paying here. I guess the value comes from the extra cards included in the box, letting you play around with the deck building element of the game a bit more. And I'll happily admit that I enjoyed this aspect of the game. It was pretty fun looking over the decks, deciding which cards I could remove from my character and which to add, discussing it with the other players, and actually seeing your new cards play a pivotal role in this scenario. But as there's only 3 chapters here, you don't really get a chance to engage with that all that much, and your deck is mostly the same at the end as it was at the start. Oh well, I guess at least they actually included the token bag this time. Look, I can't say I didn't have fun with Arkham Horror LCG. The theme is firing on all cylinders, the deck building is engaging and very rewarding, and the game is full of so many memorable and often laugh-out-loud moments that despite its flaws, it'll probably still go down as one of the more enjoyable gaming experiences I've had. However, I also can't deny that this is a flawed package either. It can be extremely luck reliant, to the point where your decisions don't seem to even matter at times. It is quite expensive for what you actually get in the box, and I can't help but think that there's a massive missed opportunity to improve an otherwise lackluster campaign here. There's enough here that I absolutely think Arkham Horror is worth trying out for yourself if an opportunity presents itself. But unless you have already decided that you're willing to commit to this game big time, I hesitate to actually give it a recommendation. As for myself, I think I would like to explore Arkham a bit further and see if another campaign would really make the game shine as all forums seem to suggest. With that in mind, if you made it this far into the video and have some experience with the LCG, which campaign would be the best follow-up to Night of the Zealot? I'm thinking either Dunwich or Carcosa, along with their accompanying investigator packs, but curious to hear your opinions as well.